Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now November 21st of 2022, and as you are all very well aware, over at Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy is completely in charge of three major projects, that of course being Indiana Jones 5, Star Wars The Acolyte, and Star Wars Skeleton Crew, all of which are being 100% controlled by her on a creative scale and on a financial level. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel for future content. Also, by the way guys, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support. It is greatly appreciated. Now, one thing about the new universe between Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni when it comes to Star Wars is that they are doing their own thing. They are really embracing Star Wars legends and really detaching themselves from Kathleen Kennedy. However, on the flip side of things, when it comes to other Lucasfilm projects such as The Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and Indy 5, that's when things really begin to get a little bit shaky and dicey, right? That's where a lot of fans are very skeptical, a lot of fans are worried about those projects, especially with the Indiana Jones franchise, because let's face it, Indiana Jones 1 through 3 are so beloved and are really just woven within pop culture. Now, I want to go over what, with Kathleen Kennedy, really involved and what she recently had to say about both Indiana Jones 5 and the Acolyte TV show for the Star Wars universe. It really does concern a number of fans around the world, including myself, of both franchises and exactly where it's all heading. So, on top of all of this, alright, we already know that Kathleen Kennedy has an agenda with both franchises, there's no doubt about that. However, with Kathleen Kennedy currently in charge of the Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, and Indy 5, she has been more vocal recently about said projects. However, when she was questioned about Indiana Jones 5 and the Acolyte, Kathleen Kennedy went on to state the following to the fans of both franchises. When Kennedy was questioned about the possibility of a female Indiana Jones, she went on to state the following. Well, would I be lying if we haven't had those conversations? Yes. This is something that we have discussed about and continue to this day. We brainstormed the idea, or perhaps, what if Indy perhaps had a daughter and held a similar name and took up the mantle to continue the franchise? We are looking at multiple possibilities to expand the franchise since Harrison Ford doesn't really want to do multiple projects with us at the moment, and we also have other plans for him as well. Now, we also have a specific plan for Indiana Jones and his fate in the fifth film that may be controversial to many fans out there, but we felt that this specific fate of Indy was necessary for the fifth film to embrace realism in the Indyverse, as I like to call it. Now let me just stop here for a second. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is without a doubt a big tease that they may very well be killing off Indiana Jones by the very end of the fifth film. So as you all know, it was a very big tackle between Kathleen Kennedy and Lucasfilm creatives and Harrison Ford to get Harrison Ford back for Indy 5 for an entire film. And as you all know, it almost reminds me of what happened with The Force Awakens, where it was a struggle to get him back. They almost had to fight to get Harrison Ford back for The Force Awakens, where he only came back once they agreed that they would kill off his character. Isn't that a little concerning now? And that really kind of makes you wonder, what Kathleen Kennedy is saying here about how the fate of Indiana Jones at the very end of the fifth film is going to be not only controversial, but it's something that they had to decide that would have embraced realism. Now, I don't know about you, but the fact that Harrison Ford came back for Indy 5, on a not so difficult matter in comparison to The Force Awakens, it really does make you wonder what Kathleen Kennedy is teasing there. And it's very well teasing the death of Indiana Jones. Now, how she also states of how they have these conversations about embracing a female version of Indiana Jones, that's also concerning too, because you don't want to just destroy the character's legacy. We already know that Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is the goddaughter of Indy in, of course, the fifth film. That's all we know. But beyond that, you know, it is interesting that Kathleen Kennedy is confirming here that she has had those conversations about embracing a female version of Indiana Jones, with a similar name, no less. Now, on top of that, alright, she goes on to say, but on the subject of the Acolyte, yeah, it's been pretty exciting because we are undoing some of the canon that George had created many years ago, and rewriting some of those rules that were placed in Star Wars and how we can adapt to doing something brand new in the Star Wars world. It was always about writing something on a blank canvas and really focusing more on the female leads than the male leads to give them a good chance at doing something spectacular. We are hoping to get this released by the beginning of 2024, as long as we don't run into any more setbacks and delays. Now, I don't know if you guys knew this. I'm sure that a lot of you do, for those of you that have been following. Kathleen Kennedy has been the leading cause for setbacks of the Acolyte, and issues with budgeting of that series, and Bob Chapek really, giving her ultimatums. Sadly, Chapek is now gone, so it really makes you wonder, will those ultimatums remain for the Acolyte now that Bob Iger's in? So that really does kind of give you a bit of a thought, what's going to happen with all of that. But back to the Acolyte here, it is a concerning show because it's not just about female leads. I mean, let's be real here. That's perfectly fine if it fits the narrative of the actual show. But when you do it just for the sake of doing it, that's when you run into problems. And that brings me back to Indy 5, of what she said about how she has had discussions about embracing a female Indiana Jones in the literal sense, holding a similar name, taking up the mantle of Indy, maybe being the daughter of Indiana, perhaps. There's a lot of different things that she talks about. But on top of that too, the thing that really worries me the most is how she teased the fate of Indiana Jones, and how it's going to be controversial at the very end of Indy 5. I don't really know if she should have said that. This is really going to open up a can of worms, I think, where a lot of fans are going to get very angry and a lot, very skeptical about the franchise. For those of you that don't know, I am as big of an Indiana Jones fan as Star Wars, and when you look at everything related to both franchises, they have similarities. They're very lore and mythology driven. And that's what I like about Indiana Jones. That's what I like about Star Wars. It holds that mythology, right? And when you look at, all of the films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, The Last Crusade, The Crystal Skull, which we can forget about that. But looking at Indy 5, there's a lot of concerns coming out of this film by James Mangold. And James Mangold gets very defensive when a lot of fans raise these questions about their concerns. And that too is another red flag. Just putting it out there. So overall, I would like to hear what you guys have to say about this, because there's a lot of things happening with the Acolyte, Indy 5, Skeleton Crew, these 3 massive projects by Kathleen Kennedy that we will continue to actually cover here on the channel. I would like to hear what you guys have to say about all of that below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.